Alright, this is day 4 in chapter 4 in advanced geometry. Today we're going to do translations and rotations again, but today we're going to do them on a graph. Okay, so here's how it works for a translation. So at the beginning, if you have some point on a graph, every point's written x comma y, right? A translation is going to be just adding something to the x and adding something to the y, or subtracting, addition, subtraction, same thing. But here's what happens. You know our graph is x-axis down here and y-axis up here. The x-axis, isn't that controlling the left and right movement, right? X-axis is going horizontally, left and right. And the y-axis is going vertically. So whenever you have some original point x, and whatever you add or subtract to it, that's going to change the location of it going left and right. Okay, so if you had some point x and you add 2 to it, let's say just this point right here, the x value of this point is 3. If you add 2 to it, it's going to become 5, so that means that you just move that thing 2 units to the right. You slid it 2 units to the right. And when you do something to a y, y is going to change the up and downness. It's going to slide up and down. In this particular case, it's going to go down 1. That's what it would look like on a graph. They just want to know where these points would be, though, here. So all we have to do is let's go one thing at a time. I think it's easier if you've got this rule that the point xy will now become x plus 2, y minus 1. Just deal with only the x's first, because I've got the same rule going for all 3 of these problems. So let's deal with only the x's. Let's add 2 to all the x values. So start with a parenthesis, add 2, 4. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1, and negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. There, I've dealt with all the x values. Now let's deal with the y values. The y rule says subtract 1 from each one of those. So how about 6 minus 1 and 4? Bingo. These points would translate to these new blue points that I have right here, given this one particular rule, just a translation. So let's see what it looks like on a graph. It says triangle day has vertices D at 1, 2, A at 4, 3, and Y at 2, negative 1. So let's graph triangle day, and then let's graph its image under the translation. Looks like the rule got cut off. Oh, it's x, y becomes x minus 3, y minus 4. Sorry, it got cut off a little bit there. But first thing you got to do is graph the original guy. So let me graph oops, didn't do it. Let's graph the original guy. D's at 1, 2, 1, 2. Go ahead and label the points as you put them. A is at 4, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And y is at 2, negative 1, 2, negative 1. Take your straight edge, connect those together in blue for me. Triangle D, A, Y. Rock and roll. That's the original guy. Now let's figure out its image. I got a typo on this worksheet. This should be D prime, A prime, Y prime. I did some copy and paste things when I made this worksheet and forgot to change the letters, so my bad on that. I'm going to go red for this. Let's follow the rule. I'm going to do all the x's first. The original D had an x value of 1. This says subtract 3 from that, so that would make it at minus 2. The A had an x value of 4, so subtract 3 from that, it would be at 1. And Y had an x value of 2. Subtract 3 from that, and it would be at minus 1. Now I'm going to do all the y's. The rule says take away 4, so negative 2 for D prime. Take away 4, negative 1 for A prime, and take away 4, negative 5. Did I do those? Negative 2, minus 1. Yeah, now let's graph D prime, negative 2, negative 2. D prime. A, 1, negative 1. And Y prime, negative 1, 5. Negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y prime. Connect the dots in red. And remember, this is a translation, so A, B, C, D is preserved. Angle measured between is collinearity and distance. And same thing with orientation. This is just a slide. This thing went 3 units to the left, 1, 2, 3, and 4 units down, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 units to the left, 4 units down. And 1, 2, 3, etc. Let's go again. So Rick, let's go ahead and graph Rick originally. There's where Rick should look like once you get her graphed, or him. And then graph the pre-image. So let's go ahead and figure out. We're going to add 5 to the x value. So 0, -1, add 5 would be 3, and 5. And then the y value says add 4 to it. So I'm going to add 4 and go 0, 4, 3, and 1. And I'll graph those. 0, 0 is where r prime's at. -1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is where I prime's at. And C prime, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And K prime, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Connect the dots. Should look the same, and angle measure between this collinearity and distance for preserve, as well as orientation. This was a translation that was 5 units up and 4 units to the right. 5 units up, 4 units to the right. Here, they don't even ask, like, they give me the original dude. They just say, draw this new guy. So really, we can do it by counting. You know, you could figure out, name these points A, B, C, and D, and write them down and all that stuff. But this is just a translation. 4 units left, 2 units up, correct? X -4, y +2. So 4 units left, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 units up, 1, 2. I am going to call this A, though, and call this A prime. So when I connect my dots together, I don't get confused. I'm going to call this B, C, and D. It helps. I'm not going to make you do that, but it helps. 4 units left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 units up. There's B prime. C, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 units up. 1, 2. There's C prime. And D, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 units up. D prime, and connecting the old dots together. A prime, B prime, C prime, B prime, D prime, and booyah. That thing slid 4 units left, 2 units up. Boom! 5 units to the right, so I'm going to go ahead and name these in a different color. How about A, B, C, D, E. And now I'm going to go 5 units to the right, 1 unit down. So color 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 unit down. A prime, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 unit down. B prime, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 unit down. C prime, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 unit down. D prime, ooh, D prime and B, same place, big deal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 down. E prime. Connect them together. Be careful that you connect them in the right order. That's why I labeled them. It's so much easier to do that then. And there you go. One more for you. X translates to X. What the heck? That means it doesn't move left or right. It's like X + 0. It doesn't move left or right. It just means 4 units up. So 1, 2, 3, 4 units up. 1, 2, 3, 4 units up. 1, 2, 3, 4 units up. Straight edge. Meow, meow, meow. Cool. That was a translation. Now, rotation. Rotation, first I have a typo. This should be counterclockwise, so cross that out, and it's counterclockwise. To rotate any point A, B, or X, Y, whatever you want to call it, counterclockwise on a graph, counterclockwise positive, correct. We're only going to rotate 3 ways. We're going to rotate either 90 degrees, 180 degrees, or 270 degrees. 90 degrees is a quarter turn, 180 degrees is a half turn, 270 degrees is 3/4 of a turn. So here's our rules. It says it gets kind of confusing, you know, to do these rules. So here's what I want us to do. You notice AB, what happens is there's some switching in places and there's some sign changing. Let's do all of the sign changing first. So isn't it true that we need to change Y sign the y value changed. B is the y value, B is the change y sign, then switch places. That's the order that seems to be better for our brains. So change y sign first, then switch places. This, to rotate 180 degrees, is just change both signs. Change both signs. And this guy is change x's sign, then switch places. Cool. Let's do this. This is point 715 under a rotation of 180 degrees. Change both signs. It would rotate to -7, -15. That would be the new image. 90 degrees, change y sign, then switch places. And rotate at 270 degrees, change x's sign, then switch places. So that's what we'd get when we do those. Let's actually do some on a graph. It says rotate this guy 90 degrees. Here I've got my rules written down again here. You have them on your paper, but I got my rules right there. So first thing you got to figure out is like where these original points are, A, B, C, D, the pre-images are. So where's A at? A is at 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, the point 3, 2. A is at 3, 2. So you got to figure that out. Figure out where B's at. B's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -2. And do that for C and D. Figure out where those points are at. And D's at -1, -2. So got to figure out where your original guys are at. Now, to rotate the figure 90 degrees, you want to change y sign and then switch places. So how about -2, 3, 2, 5, 1, 2, and 2, -1. There, I've used my rule to do this. Now let's graph this thing. And this should look like it made a quarter turn counterclockwise, right? So it's going that way, and it'll just turn a quarter. Around what point? Around the origin. This is like the center of rotation. So it's like we're rotating that dude around the origin. So get rid of that point real quick here. A prime's at -2, 3. 1, 2, 3. B prime's at 2, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C prime's at 1, 2. D prime's at 2, -1. And then connected them in the right order. Make sure you label them as you go. A to B. How about blue? A to B. B to C prime. C to D prime. That thing just turned a quarter of a turn compared to all the way around, a quarter of a turn counterclockwise. Go again. You notice in this problem, this picture right here, I used the same graph again, right? The same graph from 4 to 5. So, like, you already have the A, B, and C, D values written down. Oh, notice on your paper, I don't think that they had them. You should have put in those, right? Write them A equals B equals C equals D equals. It makes life so much easier. So, you should have those already. Just figure out where your new primes is by using the rule for rotating 180 degrees by just changing both signs. So, when you do that, I'll pause the video for you, or you should pause the video, I should say, and do that. And you should have got that for an answer. Check them real quick and graph them. And it looks like that thing rotated a half turn around the origin. So rotate 180 degrees counterclockwise. And then the last two, figure out where your original points are first. A, B, C, D, and E. It's the same graph on both of them, so just over here on your left margin, which I didn't have room for. Then use your rules. Go ahead and do both of them. Just pause the video, do both of them. When you're done, they should have looked like so. So that, my friends, is it. How to rotate stuff on a graph. Some rules to remember. And if you have any questions, please see me. Have a good one.